Showcase. The first was obviously to welcome all of you lovely audience members here, and hello to everyone online, because we are live streaming, so people all across the globe can watch. And the second was to get amazing non-Ukrainian New York City artists engaged with this work so they can get excited about it, learn about it, ask questions, eventually produce these works. And I think, given that wonderful wall, that we have achieved that. People are very excited about these plays.
Today we're going to be starting with a short play, Balance, by Alina Sarnatska, who's here with us in the audience. It will be followed by an artist talk with her, with Alina, moderated by Razom Connect, and with the actor and director of the piece. Then we're going to see the long piece, the long play, The Order of Neatly Made Beds by Lena Lagushonková. And then we're going to see a short play, The Chronicles of the Lost Soul by Anna Hallas.
And a couple of logistical things you all have heard. I think that the bathrooms, due to the construction in the building, are out this door and the main entrance in the middle of the block. We're going to have a couple of breaks, so we'll go straight from the first piece into the artist talk. Then we will have about a half hour, take a break, go grab a drink, whatever you'd like. We'll start with the Order of Neatly Made Beds at 3:30, and then we'll go right into the Chronicles of the Lost Soul at 5. And then if you want to stick around, we are having a catered meal by Veselka at 6. So you're welcome to wait for that and have a little meal before we go into our evening programming. And if you decide, maybe some of you are here for the full day, which we love. If you're not and you decide you want to stick around, just come see us. We're happy to have you in the audience for the evening programming. But thank you so much for being here.
In my school, classes were designed for 40 children. The 41st had to drag a chair from class to class. I looked Jewish, so I was designated the 41st. My chair had 3 legs and such jagged edge that it could saw wood. It sawed through my thick yellow tights. Oksana, from the first desk, was the only one in the class who spoke to me that year. In the morning, she greeted me with, "Hi, tramp." And after classes, she said goodbye with, "Bye, tramp." My parents rarely whipped me, but my classmates often did. Back then, I realized that to sit on a 3-legged chair, you needed perseverance and balance. Here are a few simple exercises for self-soothing that can help reduce stress. 1, find a quiet place. Sit or stand somewhere where you won't be disturbed. 2, deep breathing. Close your eyes and take a deep breath through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 4 seconds, then slowly exhale through your mouth for 6 seconds. 3, repeating calming phrases. Repeat phrases to yourself like, "I am calm, everything will be fine," or "I can handle this." In the 8th grade, my role as class victim was exhausted. They wanted fresh meat. Then a red-haired girl in glasses joined our class. For 3 days, the class watched her, voraciously, waiting. It became clear I would no longer be tormented. On the 3rd day, Kolya approached redheaded break, carefully removed her glasses, dropped them on the floor, and stepped on them. The class held their breath. The bright autumn sun shone through the large school windows. Redhead stood by the overturned desk, looking around in surprise, quietly sniffling in the silence. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath through my nose, and counted to 4. I opened my eyes. Kolya smacked her on the head, and blood trickled from her nose. I was packing notebooks into my backpack in the next row. Oksana, from the first desk, caught my eye. And she whispered, "What kind of beer do you drink?" The gap between successful and unsuccessful people opened up on the patch of linoleum between me and Redhead. This could be it. Live and enjoy. I glanced at Redhead, blood on her tear-stained snout. and I had the gleeful Oksana, and mentally repeated twice, I am calm. Everything is going to be fine. But nothing changed around me. Redhead sniffled. The class laughed even louder. I got up and smacked Kolya on the back from behind with my three-legged chair. Of course, we both got the shit beaten out of us. Later, we left school together. Outside the gates, Redhead stopped, fumbled in her bag, and silently handed me a Snickers bar. After graduation, Redhead and I didn't cross paths, but we liked each other's photos on Instagram. Sometimes she commented on my photo, such a beauty, and I would write in response, Queen. 10 years later, the full-scale war began. On the second day, I opened Instagram and saw a redhead in uniform holding a gun. She stood in a concrete basement, dirty and disheveled. And I turned on a new spotless white kettle via Bluetooth in the kitchen and poured Chinese fermented tea into a clay teapot. My house gleams. There are comfy blankets everywhere, and a cat, and designer lighting, and a home office in a separate room so I didn't have to leave the house so often. All my life was well planned on a board hanging on the wall. I plucked the stickers one by one. First, the interview for a new German project, then a meeting at the embassy, then a trip. I grabbed all the stickers, made a ball out of them, threw it into the trash. I drank my tea, wrote to Redhead in a DM, and enlisted. 1. Body scan. Start from your head and slowly move down to your toes, paying attention to each part of your body. Relax your muscles if you feel any tension. 2. Visualization. Imagine a place where you feel calm and happy. This could be a beach, a forest, or any other place. Focus on the details, sounds, smells, colors. 3. Gentle stretching. Perform a few light stretching exercises to release physical tension from your body. Do you hear something swishing? Swish, 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 swish. It sounds like the rustling of a plastic bag, then a hard thud like a tree trunk dropped on the ground, or maybe it's a heavy plop like leftover meat jelly plopping into a dog bowl. Bags are important. The first one was Vasil. We packed him in 120-liter black household garbage bags, one for the head, one for the legs, then wrapped them up with tape. But it's not the best option in the summer. Vasil had suffered a direct hit from a 120mm shell, so he was one large piece and many small ones. By the time he reached the interim morgue, he had already started leaking. Imagine the inconvenience. You pick him up, and he falls apart right onto your boots. Smell gives you a headache. The boots are ruined now. The boots cost at least $200. Vasil in life was a scoundrel. He always bummed cigarettes off everyone, but never bought any, saying he was quitting. And now, even in death, he's a hassle. And you sort of understand that Vasil doesn't do it on purpose, but you're still a little mad at him. So, we got special thick bags from the morgue. They feel like supple packages from the Postal Service. Soldiers send gifts to their children for their birthdays, then return home in the same plastic after death. These bags didn't tear as easily and were more convenient to pack, but they still leaked. Puddles were formed by the morgue while we unloaded. To pack people, you need perseverance. At first, the smell bothers you, even makes your mind drift, for reasons unknown. The small bags are especially unpleasant. I evacuated the less seriously wounded from the front line to a stabilization point in the nearest village. In the neighboring house, there is a collection point for the bodies of dead soldiers. It's summer, 85 degrees heat, and the air stinks. One rundown house is the point for corpses. The other is where the orderlies live, on the fence between the houses, An old bed sheet hangs, constantly sprayed with chlorine. It helps about as much as a chastity belt on a prom queen. I dropped off the wounded for further evacuation, and then I spot a real barbecue in the undertaker's backyard with something grilling on it. The senior medic said to me, "When was the last time you ate?" "I don't remember." "How about some crab salad, chicken wings with honey sauce?" I follow him, dig into a bowl of salad, devour the wings rabidly, and leave behind 2 packs of cigarettes in exchange. Grounding technique. 1. Sit or stand comfortably. Find a place where you can settle in comfort. 2. Use your 5 senses. Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Note, these exercises are designed to help keep you calm. To serve in the Army, you need to maintain your balance. In the first year of service, I bought ears for my helmet and a Pokemon sleeping bag liner. Redhead laughed at me when she came to visit me for a coffee. By the second year, I stopped being embarrassed to sleep with a stuffed toy. My mom sent me a toy badger from home. His name was Phil. And when he got a little dirty, I would wash him when I had the chance and dry him in the sun. The village where we lived was 3 kilometers from the front line. I washed Phil, placed him on the roof of the cellar in the yard, and sat with the fighters, the 4 of us by the house. Spartacus, the squad leader, is washing dishes in a basin. The rest are smoking. Suddenly, something big splashes to the left, then to the right. Something splashes again, then left, then right, splish, splash, and it's getting fucking closer. Everyone scrambles into the house, slams against the walls, and falls. I'm lying there, regretting that the cellar is far, far away. We can't reach it now. The shells are whistling and splashing. We wait. Then Vossel barks from the bush outside by the wall. "You fuckers voted for this in 2019 when you elected your beloved president!" Spartacus roars back from the corridor. "Your scumbag was even worse!" The sergeant shouts, "Shut up, both of you! Morons!" Then a whistle and a boom. A powerful hit nearby. The surface shakes and clings. Debris from the ceiling falls onto my head. The air is full of dust. So are my eyes. The window is gone. I try to clear my eyes. A shout from the yard. I run there. There's a big crater where the cellar and Phil used to be. Spartacus bought me a new unfamiliar badger. I politely put it by the bed, then it disappeared forever into the bottom of my bag, along with broken flashlights and packs of wet wipes. But a week later, some signalmen moved into the abandoned house next door and climbed onto the roof to lay their mysterious wires, and they found my Phil. He was almost intact, just missing his back leg. To retrieve bodies, it's essential to have a supply of plastic stretchers. But original stretchers are expensive. Even the volunteer-made ones are often slapdash and hard to come by. We had a soldier, Maximka, 30 years old, who loved TikTok and his grandmother who raised him. He called her almost every day. Once, during an assault, he took a captive and was starting to tie him up when all of a sudden there was a direct hit, direct from a tank right on them. It was hectic. There were no solid stretchers, and our troops retreated. It wasn't until 2 weeks later we had access to that trench again. Clearly, we couldn't reassemble Maximka, but DNA analysis requires a piece with a big bone because flesh decays, but bone marrow remains. So, away he goes. Spartacus, the squad leader on the next sortie, bringing a good new bag, an industrial mask with a filter, and rubber gloves. As he started searching for Maximka in the pile of meat, serious shelling began. Russian and Ukrainian body parts intermingled so thoroughly that he struggled to find a leg, stuffed it into a bag, tied it to the stretchers, and dragged it like a sled. He crawled and ran, falling face first next to the stretcher before finally making it out. The boys picked him up, took him to a proper morgue in the city, Signed the papers and handed over the leg, and now we're smoking by the entrance. I'm arguing with the orderly who's trying to snag our expensive stretchers. Everyone keeps their distance from Spartacus, who's a little splattered. The medic comes out and barks, "Are you all fucking nuts?" We freeze for a moment. I ask him, "What happened? Why the fuck did you bring me a catsup?" How could it be a catsup if he's our moxim? So we follow him into the morgue, through a door draped with a wet cloth into the pathology lab. There on the table lies a leg with Russian camouflage leftovers, with a typical cursive book marked, "Made in Russia." I have no words. I just look at Spartacus, gradually turning red from the neck up. He shouts, "So my dumbass dragged a catsup 3 kilometers?" Spartacus had to go back for Maximka again. So off he went into the woods, where he finds the shelling is even more intense than before. Barely made it back. Maximka's bag was torn in 2 places. I look. It's a small bag. So I ask him, "What'd you bring?" "An arm." Not another mix-up. The platoon leader emerges and removes a camouflage net from the pickup to drive to the city. He sees Spartacus and smirks, a cigarette trembling on his lip. Spartacus says, "Get the fuck out. It's definitely Maximka. He's wearing the watch we gave him for his birthday, with the good luck inscription." He waves the bag at me with the arm in it, and the stench is so bad, the dead beetles fall from the trees. Coming to the city is always so festive. There are shops, pharmacies, post office, people in strange, colorful clothes. You can sit at a table, have a large latte with a croissant, grab some shawarma, and hang out with the girls. In the city, there's always a rented apartment where you can wash your clothes and take a shower. Also, valuable items like laptops, spare uniforms, Lao boots that cost a fortune, and good alcohol are stored here. All the things that won't be destroyed by a random hit on the bunker. In the city, you can find sex, drugs, cream-filled pastries, buy fake military gear in a military store, and get a haircut. Once, Spartacus and I arrived in Constantinople. We were standing at the market, picking over some vegetables, and there's a call. I look at the phone. It's Redhead's mother, Natalia Ivanivna. "Hello, Nastya, hello, Nastya, can you hear me? Hello, I can hear you," I say while squeezing a tomato. The tomato is slightly soft to the touch, but not too soft, just as it should be. I've probably been eating nothing but porridge with sandwiches for 2 weeks. "Nastya, hello, where are you? Why is it so noisy?" "I'm at the market." "You're at the market while my daughter is dying in a trench?" "She's not dying," I say as I approach the grapes. The grapes glisten with a golden shine right in my eyes. "Tell me, right now, you dragged my daughter into this and now you're at the market while she's dying in a trench." I reluctantly pull away from the grapes and open Instagram. As expected, Redhead has a new post. In the photo, she's in full gear with dirt smeared across her face. If you look closer, you can see finger traces. She's holding a rifle without a magazine and a training grenade. The caption reads, "We're being stormed, but we're not giving up." The background is blurred, but I recognize the medic's yard by the shape of garden beds of dill and the nice brick outhouse. It's about 12 kilometers away from the trenches on the front line. "She's at the medical post. I just saw her. I can't reach her. If she bleeds out there alone without any help, it will be all your fault. Natalia Ivanivna, I'll ask her to call you right now." I buy 5 kilograms of grapes, 5 kilograms of tomatoes. I wipe a large pink tomato on my shirt and bite into it. The juice runs down my hand, dripping onto the ground. It tastes just like I imagined it would. Spartacus drives us to the apartment, but I don't want to go inside, so I sit on a bench by the entrance, eating tomatoes from the bag. I ate a second one, then a third. The sun is warm. I sit there, imagining how I'm gonna take a shower, change into clean clothes. I message Redhead that her mom called again. Redhead responds with a drunken voice message. No, he doesn't love me. Can you believe it? He doesn't love me. He said so. I grab a forked tomato, dreaming about how I'll go on leave, visit Natalia Ivanivna, ask for tea, and while she's putting the kettle on, I'll erase my number from her phone. Spartacus comes out of the entrance, wearing nothing but turquoise shorts, holding cigarettes and a phone. So your girlfriend's at war. Am I cursed today? Vicka told me that in the first company yesterday, old man Ivan almost kicked the bucket. They took him to a hospital at the last moment. After the hit, he had a concussion and a through and through wound in his arm. Right here, where the biceps are, he shows me his biceps, the size of a globe. He points with a cigarette to where the old man's wound was. Well, old man Ivan was wounded by the explosion. Your friend Redhead bandaged him up, sent him back. But the old man complains he's having trouble breathing and he can't dig. The sergeant tells him, well, what'd you expect, Grandpa? At your age, it's time to stop breathing. The next day, the old man turned a bit blue. They took him to the city. Turned out, he had a hole in his armpit and one lung collapsed. Then we found out your friend, Redhead, wrinkled her nose at old man's hairy armpits and didn't check, didn't touch them. Imagine. I received the next batch of bags from the morgue. The boxes were labeled UN aid to the people of Ukraine. They gave us lots of bags, more than there were soldiers in my company, including me. I smoked, thought about it, and stashed about half of them in the warehouse, but what to do with the rest? I took them to the chief medic. Chief medic was hitting the bottle hard like a dog drinking cold water. When his deputy was hit by rockets, the chief medic drank for 3 months and 1 day. The next day, I came by. In the medic's yard, the grass is trampled, cigarette butts everywhere. An ambulance with open doors stands by the house. And an unfamiliar soldier lies on a stretcher beside it, his face the color of a cheap church candle 2 feet away. The driver smokes a cigarette, staring at the ground. I go inside. In the corner on a stretcher, the chief medic snores. The room reeks of alcohol. Redhead. Who's the man in the hallway? Redhead, with freshly washed hair, sits at a large worn table. She looks up from her laptop, stares at my dirty uniform and my grimy nails. Stroke? She says, annoyed. She has a beautiful new plate carrier with a Snickers bar peeking out from the middle pouch. Why aren't you leaving? We're waiting for the commander to sign the report. Won't he die? Shut in. Redhead finishes typing text on her laptop, grabs her e-cigarette from the charger, and steps outside. 10 seconds later, she rushes back in, disheveled, grabs a medic's bag, and runs out. From the outside, I hear her yelling, "He's breathing! Just wheezing!" The ambulance backs out of the gate and finally leaves. I go outside, planning to use their toilet and clean up. Their toilet is fancy. A stool with a hole cut out, standing over the pit. In the corner, there are various wet wipes, because medics always have loads of volunteer supplies. Pull down my pants, lift up my shirt, and grab a big green pack of wipes with incomprehensible Polish words. Begin to clean myself eagerly. In the distance, I hear an outgoing boom. Automatically, I count, and at 5, something lands not far off. I run a wipe between my legs. It burns. I freeze and look at the pack. It says antibacterial. I curse, grab another pack with a baby picture on it, and start wiping off the alcohol. The baby picture smiles at me, and it feels like it's mocking me. How it burned. I hear shells hitting the village. It burns as if I had sat directly on the hot summer sand, missing the towel at the beach. I grab more wipes while trying to pull on my pants, and another hit lands closer. I jerk. My foot slips somewhere. I get tangled in my pants and fall chin first onto the makeshift toilet seat. My ears ring as I fly out the outhouse door. The chief medic smokes on the bench near the house, watching me with a dull gaze. I hear someone shouting behind the gate. Vassal runs in. They've hit the medics! I turn around and run after him, hearing the heavy breathing of the chief medic from behind me. We run between houses, through gardens, 2 streets away. I see a crater for Michelle and a burnt, overturned ambulance. From behind it, the others are dragging a body with half a head. The chief medic runs to the body, examines it, and shouts, "Dead." Someone shouts into the radio. I look at the Snickers bar in the plate carrier. I don't look at the head. The sergeant drives up in our medical pickup with new stretchers. I open the trunk, take out a box labeled UN Aid to the people of Ukraine. The guys pack Redhead into a high-quality bag, and I zip it up. We strap her onto the stretcher like a cocoon. 5 things you can see. Look around and name 5 things you can see. 4 things you can touch. Touch 4 different objects and feel their texture. 3 things you can hear. Listen and name 3 sounds you can hear. 2 things you can smell. Identify 2 smells around you. 1 thing you can taste. Focus on 1 taste in your mouth or imagine tasting something. This technique helps to distress you from distract. Return to the present moment. The sergeant pats me on the back. Don't sleep. Get in the back. Don't forget the stretchers. Bring them back. The guys load 2 bodies and 1 wounded in the truck with me. I recognize the sick man from the ambulance. His leg is broken. The wounded man screams as I apply a tourniquet and check him over. We arrive at the morgue drop-off at the funeral home. They take the wounded, they carry the bodies into the house. I look for room on the floor to put mine down. The entire floor is already packed with bags. Familiar orderly stands nearby. It's been a while since we had a bus, and it's been 2 days of assaults. They should start picking up by evening. Find a spot in the hallway, search the bodies. I take Redhead's phone out of her pocket. The screen lights up, showing a photo of her and her sister. I get her ID, take off her rings. Her hands are soft and warm, almost clean. I stand up. I need to take the stretchers back. I look at the concrete floor. I mean, how could I leave her on concrete, especially with such warm hands? I turn around and leave. Bee breathing technique. Sit comfortably. Find a place where you can sit. Close your eyes. Close your eyes so you can focus. Close your ears. Place your index fingers on your ear to reduce external noise. Breathe deeply. Take a deep breath through your nose. Breathe out with an sound. While breathing out, make an even, low-toned sound, like a bee. I was not allowed to go to Redhead's funeral. We're always short of people. I sent Phil, the 1-legged badger, to my mom by post in a supple package. I let him return home. I know he's tired.